Hey, coach, is the media calling plays still on the table?
I'm sorry?
I said, is the media calling plays this season still on the table?
Yes, it is.
Glad to hear it. Hey, with Jarvis and Odell, last year they were not at full throttle. What have you seen in both of them so far during camp and in the run up to the first game to make you feel like they're going to be the players that we know that they can be?
I think we followed the plan, Tom. So we didn't do too much too soon. We listened to the doctors, listened to the trainers, let those guys let their body talk to them and make determinations based on that. And I think we've ramped it up appropriately.
And their skill sets are so complementary, Kevin. What kind of having two elite players like that? What kind of a stress does that put on a defense?
Yeah, I think having two guys like Odell and Jarvis gives us an advantage there. Like you're saying, it's easier to take away one guy. It's harder to take away two guys, obviously. So they do have different skill sets, but they've been doing it for a long time, and both have been productive in their own way.
Nate Orrick, you have our next question.
Hey, Kevin, how did J.C. Treader look yesterday to you?
Yeah, look good. Look like JC.
And, we're used to him going out there and playing no matter what. I mean, we've seen him play through a high ankle sprain for it was like 10 games or something. And there's been other stuff too. So if you guys decide, he can go, does that give you comfort that he's a guy who knows his body well and knows how to perform well while he's fighting something?
I think we have to be smart about every player individually with their injuries. You always want to protect the player from themselves, and you don't want to put a guy out there that's not ready. And we won't do that with JC. We won't do that with any player. So we'll trust the medical staff and we'll trust the player in all of the injury cases.
Dan Lobby, you're up.
Hey, Coach, how good of a feel right now do you have on kind of where everybody fits in the offense? And is there just stuff you can't know until you get out there on the field and play real games?
Pretty good feel, Dan, what we're potentially can be good at. We can only play one game this week, and then we've got to play another one the next week. So it evolves. The game plans call for certain personnels one week, a different personnel the next week. So I just think it's evolving, but I do think as a staff we have a pretty good idea of what our strengths are.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Scott Patrick.
Hey, Kevin, when you look at that Ravens rushing attack from a year ago, what are some of the elements that make it so effective?
Very sound, multiple pre-snap movement, physical front, talented runners. It's a really good scheme.
And then the addition of J.K. Dobbins, what could he add, and how does that stress your linebacking core, which has kind of gone under kind of a transformation?
Yeah, I think they added a really good player there. Remains to be seen exactly how they use him, but we know just based on his college tape, he's a very good football player.
Marla Ridenour, your line is open.
Yeah, Coach, I don't know if you considered Tom's thing a question, so you ready to make an announcement on the play caller?
Not today, no.
Just checking. Just how do you feel about, even with the locker room so spread out and everything, do you get a sense of do you have any chemistry on this team? Is it going to be a work in progress? Do you get any idea?
I think it's much easier than virtual. The off season, I would tell you it was hard. Now being in the building, albeit with a mask and plexiglass, I think it's much easier to get to know people here, and you can be outside around each other at practice field. So easier when in person, but it's definitely a challenge and definitely something that we've tried to be intentional about in terms of building team chemistry.
Tony Grossi, your line is open.
Kevin, is there a need to elect team captains this year with all those committees you already have formulated?
Yeah, Tony, what we're going to do this year is we're going to have 16 game captains. So it'll be one player per game. And to your point, we do have a leadership committee. We do have a social justice committee. And my message to the players is you don't need a C on your chest to be a great leader.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tony. Nate Orrick.
Well, do you have a captain for the opener yet?
I do. Not going to share it with you.
Oh,
just kidding. Okay. I haven't told the team yet, so I can't tell you guys yet.
Okay, so you select the captain each week. Okay. I got off track there, but I want to ask you about Terrence Mitchell. What have you learned about him? What's he bringing to your defense? And obviously, a guy who we've seen a lot in there lately.
Yeah, veteran presence, good football player, really brings a ton of energy to practice and around the building. Teammates really enjoy Terrence. I enjoy Terrence, so very glad we have him.
Back to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Kevin, where's your confidence level with Jedrick going into this matchup, given there was no preseason?
I would tell you it's the same level of every single one of our rookies. You know, they haven't played in an NFL game yet, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I haven't coached an NFL game yet either.
So when you put the game plan together, do you make a concerted effort to say, okay, we got to help this guy, whether it's chipping or sliding to protection?
I think you do that every week, Scott, truly at every position. You look at matchups and you figure out the best way to attack the opposing defense or opposing offense.
George Thomas, you're up.
Hey, Coach, I was just wondering, what do you consider the most dangerous aspect of Lamar Jackson's game?
It's hard to pick one, but I mean, speed would probably be the first thing that comes to mind.
And Daryl Ryder.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious, how do you scheme up or prepare for a team when you don't have current tape on them? I know that everybody in the league is dealing with this. No preseason in that, but just from your perspective, how do you scheme up and game plan when all you have is a sheet of paper with a roster on it?
Well, Coach Martindale's been there for a little while, so we can go back many years as it relates to Coach. And the other thing is nobody shows anything in the preseason anyway. So I'm telling you, in all 32 cities, they have wrinkles that they can't wait to unveil on Sunday or tonight, Thursday night, I promise you. So that's just part of week one, and that's why you have to have great communication on the sideline with your players.
So how many wrinkles do you have ready to go Sunday?
A few.
All right. We have one hand up. This will be our last one. Tony Grossi.
All right. Kevin, where would you say assess the way the offensive line has been able to pick up the wide zone despite, two rookies for most of training camp and now maybe Treader getting in there?
I think they've done a nice job, Tony, and I think the credit goes to Coach Callahan, Scott Peters. They really are excellent teachers, and it's something that you start in the classroom, then you take it out on the grass and you drill it over and over, and it's repeatable. So you mentioned having two rookies in there at times. I think all those guys are working very hard in all schemes as it pertains to the run game, but I would tell you that the preparation from the classroom is really the vital part of that.